It's all fun and games until the sun goes down. Many of you know I place an emphasis on benevolence at times. I hope you also know I take this all very seriously. I am very aware that Mother Nature can be savage, and she don't play around. As much as I speak about subjects surrounding spirituality and even love, I am not quite as naive as it could seem. Hearing about stuff online is one thing. Hearing sounds at night is a different story. Here's a few of my recordings from the forest at night. Well, that sounded like a tree fall. What the heck? Hopefully that picked up on this. It's completely still right now too. You can see it. If I look at the trees, they're not moving at all. There went another one. Holy cow. That was a small tree or a humongous limb. Wow. Holy crap. And that was a falling tree. Are you kidding me? cool. So one thing that I have for my setup, as dirty as they are, I just broke down and I'm setting back up, is a couple tarps. They're pretty close to the size of my tent. I just kind of looked at the size of the tent, measured them out, and I put these underneath the tent before I set up. I have this folding table that I got from Walmart. I think it was like 30 bucks or something like that. And I use that, I'll show you, to put like stuff on it to cook and everything. And then I always have this little tote and use that to store wood, keep it dry. So I'll chop it up, put it in there. Pretty much always have that with me. This stove right here has been absolute gold. I had a single burner and I used that for a while. I found that on the single burner, the wind would just blow sideways and blow the heat away. And I'll set this up and show you how this looks, because it has little things on the side that kind of protect the wind a little. What that looks like. And typically also, this table matches up with picnic tables, something else that sometimes I'll cut stuff and I'll kind of lean against it while I'm cutting and keep it from rocking. That helps when you're using a knife. But this has been amazing. Now with this, I'll do two things at once. I might make coffee on one burner and cook something on the other. Total game changer. So highly recommend this. This thing was like 40 bucks, I think, at Walmart. And if you saw it in the beginning, you saw that they just kind of flip under and just go like that. And it just sort of stands up and takes up a bit of that table, but this thing is so useful. I'm cooking with it all the time. Now you can see the tent that I use is pretty well lined up with those two tarps. Like I said, I just kind of took the tent measurements and I picked out two tarps that were about the same width. You can see that it's about the same width as the tarp, the side of the tent. So, and that works. I don't know exactly what it does, but I heard tarps under your tent are really smart, so I always do that. What I found really useful is totes like this. What I'm actually doing is just, as I unpack and set up camp, I'm just showing you the stuff I got. This thing is just a generic, it's my camping tote. I just throw everything in here when I'm done. First thing I'll be taking out is the 4 big steaks. I got these at Walmart for like a couple bucks each, and I use those for the 4 tent corners. And one of these mallets to hammer in all the steaks. The back of this thing, the hook, is pretty cool for like pulling stuff up, but for me it bent, so I can't really use that. I might see if I can think of a way to replace it, because it was really handy for pulling out steaks. But yeah, so I'll just tap these all in and then I'll set up the tent. All right, so there's my tent in its basic form before I put the fly on and stuff. Looks pretty intimidating to set up by yourself, but I do set it up by myself every time. So it's no big deal. It can be done. All right, so what I'll do is I'll line up 2 corners of this tent over there, and then I'll do the other 2. In the directions, it says to like stake the 4 corners, and I found when I do that too tight, the tent is hard to, I leave a little slack in the 4 corners when setting up the tent. Like if I was to stretch it out as far as it'll go, I'll leave like 5 inches of slack, and that seems to be the sweet spot where the tent will set up well. So basically line these up with the tarp on this side, and then that side will overlap a bit from the tarp, but I'll put this right where the edge of the tarp is, like right on the corner. I'll zoom in a little bit on the other side so you can kind of see what I do there. Pull this out so it's straight lined up with the tarp. And then you can see it goes a little ways past the end of the tarp there. So I just go with how far this thing it'll reach out to here. And I'll go back to like here, hammer it in there. That seems to work out good. I won't hit this in all the way for now in case sometimes I need to adjust the stick a tiny bit. This right here is an absolute game changer for me, for primitive camping. Fits like 2 gallons of water, and it came with this, like a hose nozzle. So I can do so much with this, and I'm gonna do one thing right now, which is spray out the bottom of one of these tent poles. You can see that it's stuffed with dirt, so I'll just use this thing and find the right, it's got a stream setting. Let's see. Nope. That's the one. So shoot that in here. Not the best aim with one hand. The pressure's way down because I haven't pumped the thing, but that's probably enough to get the dust out of it. So, see if I can do this with one hand. Basically, I want to put it over this. I don't know if I can, but I'll try it. No. Yeah, all good. Didn't even have much pressure. But clean out the dirt enough to get that pin inside of there. Got some in the tent, but that's fine with me too, because what I typically do is put a couple drops of tea tree oil, peppermint oil, so it's a bit of a repellent. I'll even use this for rinsing stuff. I don't care about a tiny little bit of peppermint oil in my rinsing liquid. And I'll usually throw in a little bit of peroxide into the water too, just to help with that. All right, so this time I have pumped this thing up, so let's see if I can get it from here. Totally wasted a bunch of water, but I just wanted to show you you can pump it up pretty good so there's good pressure. And yeah, that's just, it's so helpful. I'm afraid it might splatter, but this is what I typically do, usually with two hands, but usually just go like that and it'll clean it right out and then it'll work and the pin will go in with no problem. Go, easy peasy. I don't know how I do this, but you can see on this one it's just filled with dirt, so I'll be spraying this one out too and be good to go. All right, next item I have, I'm gonna set this up by myself so you can see, is the canopy. This has been awesome, and I'll show you something I figured out after a while that helps it to just kind of stay dry. But yeah, I'll set this up. I always do this by myself. It actually has a broken part, so I'm looking for where that is. I like to face it out so I can put zip ties on it. There it is. All right. Usually just do one corner at a time. There we go. Get that to click in. I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but you can get the idea. I'm sure some of you have set these up on your own too. I did it out here because now I can move it easier, like over the picnic table where I'll leave it. It's hard to like set it up when something's in the way, so I try to do it somewhere open like this. And then I'll just, seems like I can move it easier from the back. So I'll just, like that. 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 A little more. Yeah, that's pretty close. Pretty close to the tent too. It's kind of nice to have that little, if I want to like stay dry and just come out under the canopy. I found with these, you want to line the crease with exactly with the outside or else it just won't fit because they fit tight. So I do these little Velcro straps first. All right, I don't think it's lined up, so I'll just slide that over. There we go. Just get this line lining up, the whatever line with that, and then it'll all line up. And this one will be a tight squeeze. Just fits. Oh, that wasn't bad. That's because it's lined up good. Here we go. Now I'm going to show you what I do to help it out, and it helps it so it doesn't rain or just leak and stuff, or so the roof doesn't collapse on it from water. All right, so I don't know if this is what it was intended for, but what I figured out, it almost looks like that's supposed to line up with that, but I pull it down to line up with that. And then there's tension on this whole thing, and this thing with that done and stakes in the ground has held up to all kinds of weather. So that's what I do. It's been working. Had this for a while. I don't know how much it's got left, but it's been good. I used to put a tarp over it, and then I started doing this and found I don't even need that anymore. The way that I do it is I basically pull down on this with this hand until that lines up, and then I use my right hand to put the Velcro around. So now we have a basic setup going. The last thing I'll do is I'll stake these in the ground. I made the mistake once of not doing that, and I was on like a ridge and it was windy and the thing blew down the ridge, and I swear to you, the canopy was doing somersaults down a hill. It's pretty funny. I wish I filmed it. I grabbed one of the smaller stakes when I just went to grab 4 for the canopy, and I have noticed that these just a little bit smaller compared to these that I got with the tent. These bend easy, and these bigger ones just go in the ground easier on average, like in all the different places I've ran stakes into the ground. Couple little knickknacks in my camping bin. I always have a little thing of peroxide to spray off vegetables and everything. WD-40, a million uses for that. A couple lighters, of course, for the stove and everything, and fires. One of these Coleman citrus candles. And of course, propane for the stove. Little measure tongs for cooking. And that's part of the stove. And something else I find useful is these little torch things. I'll fill it up with the citronella stuff. Let's see. Right there. Got it at Walmart. And it's a bright light. It's supposed to be a bug repellent too. But it's even just a nice light by itself, like a really bright candle. Since I'm setting up a tent, stakes. These actually came with the tent. They're a little bigger than your average stakes. These are really nice. I use these around the tent and for my canopy. A pretty decent sized tent. I mean, I could stand up in this. Little broom and dustpan thing. Stuff like this. When I just set up the tent, a bunch of dirt just fell on that, so I'll wipe that off. And on that note, I've got one of these little floor mats. I think it was like $12 at Walmart. And I think the broom and the dustpan was something like $10. But I'll use this for the entranceway. Could call this glamping, borderline glamping. But since I'm full-time, nice to do this. You go in and out of the tent. You start dragging a bunch of stuff inside there. So, and that's also where those are helpful. Hello. Oh, that's a weird one. Like a little baby, maybe? What's up? All right, one of the next items I'd like to talk about that is a bit of a game changer is the Jackery. I have just the 240 milliamp hours or something like that. First of all, the way I charge it is just right in the car, in the lighter, when I'm driving. But what I'll do is use this for stuff like the fan to blow up my mattress, and this to recharge my phone, and I can also use that wall plug for my laptop. And one other thing that I do is power a fan with it. I'll actually, let's see, I'll just stick it to the top right there. Just have it like that. Oops. And I'll run that when I'm sleeping. And this fan I got at Walmart for like 20 bucks. Just goes in there. And yeah, this thing is awesome. I just always have this power supply. We all need to like charge our phones and stuff like that. And I think that's about all that I use this for. I'm trying to think real quick. Yeah, that's about it. It charges, I don't know, maybe a couple hours of driving total. Something like that, from like 0%. I'll kind of keep it always charging in the car whenever it gets down, so it's just always pretty much for me got a full charge. And yeah, it's just awesome. No issues with this whatsoever. I can't say enough about this setup right here. When it's pretty hot at night or just pretty warm, this makes such a difference. I'll turn the fan on. I'll show you here what I can do with it. Fan, you can just put it on rotate, so I'll just have this thing going back and forth from like my head down. I'll lay on the edge of my mattress kind of, so it hits me with the blanket back a little. And yeah, it's just amazing. It helps so much. Something that comes in super useful, super handy is this little trash barrel. Got it from Target for like $2, and I just throw the little bags from like Walmart or whatever, and just have that, I'll have it down right next to my table here, and it's always nice to have a little barrel sitting around. Yeah, literally $2 at Target. One of the places I use the Jackery every time I set up. This is air mattress, and get that cord out of there. Plug it in there. Wait. Yeah, pump this thing up. Took just a couple minutes. I just throw a blanket, a couple blankets, a pillow. I got a thick blanket for when it cools down. I'll throw it over on the side and pull it over me when it's cool at night. Otherwise, I just have a couple more simple blankets on the mattress, and that's all I use. Something like this, that's my sleeping setup. Got that other blanket, it's like a imitation down I got for pretty cheap, and one of these nice soft things, and that's my sleeping setup right there. Just a regular pillow from Walmart for like $5 or whatever. This for a bit last winter. I think it's rated to like 20 degrees or something, but a Slumberjack sleeping bag, so I have this extra layer if I ever need, if we just get a deep freeze or something, I got this ready. Another must-have for the coffee drinkers, a percolator. Got this at Walmart. I don't know what it costs. I've been using this thing every single day. And it makes really good coffee. It took me a while to think of this. I was trying to figure out how to plug in a little coffee maker. And I was thinking of like heating up water to like pour over the ground sometimes with propane. And then I saw this in the camping section and thought, boom, that's it. Percolator for coffee, and I love it. Item here, little spray bottle for like $2. I use this for, I actually have a mix of water and Pine Sol. I use the Pine Sol and water to just kind of clean some stuff, and also I've heard it's a bit of a repellent. I bought it way back when I started camping because I heard it was like a bear repellent and stuff like that. I heard it does repel insects and everything, so I might even sometimes just spray it around the tent a little bit with this and just clean with it and all that. And a little cheap spray bottle from Walmart. Eventually received this. It was a gift from someone. It's like 1,000 watt model SKA 1000, and this thing will power, I have a blender and a juicer among other things, so this is really helpful for stuff like that. I personally just really want to be able to drink juice, and so this is amazing. Be able to use this for that, and blender to make smoothies and stuff like that. Try to be kind of healthy. That is the juicer that I use right there. Works great. It powers this thing no problem. This thing has some kahunas to it. This juicer is great. You can put whole stuff into it, see? Like whole apples, carrots. And I frequently use this pot with the little strainer thing. Got this at Walmart, and this pretty cool iridescent pan. I think I did a video with that pan. I cook with that all the time. And this is the little burner that I started with. It goes right on top of the propane thing, and I still have it. I don't really use that anymore, but this is, you know, helpful if you don't have much and you just need to heat some stuff up. That works good. Everybody has these. I got 3 of them myself. The lawn chairs, whatever you call them. I usually keep one in the tent in case it rains and I'm away. I get back and at least I have a dry chair. But yeah, I'll have 3 of these set up all the time. Sometimes I sit in one and put my feet up in the other one. Here we go. Little side note, if these ever come off on you, it looks like this one's about to go. They have a screw that's a Phillips right there. It's so easy to just pull this out a little bit and just run it through another part of this material and get a little more life. If that, I've had that happen to 2 of the chairs, and it was awesome to fix that thing. I didn't even think about it for a while and put it back, and it was awesome because, you know, once that slides down, then this doesn't really stay. You can dump your drinks and everything. So it's like $8 at Walmart for these. Something else I have that I got eventually was a more heavy-duty cooler. It's like the ones that's thick around the outside, and typically ice lasts longer in here. Out in the summer heat, when I'm out like somewhere and it's in the sun, I'll basically buy a bag of ice a day, and I'll always have ice. If I'm in like a campground for the weekend with shade and stuff, ice will last more than a day, which is really cool. So now I can always have stuff like creamer, and I've got juice down there, butter, cheese. Eventually I got this second table. This thing's really helpful like when I'm cooking or something. Also, if I want to go in the tent and like sit at the table on my computer or whatever, I can use that. So it's just a little more surface area, which is pretty nice. I always have a jug like this wherever I am. There's not always a bathroom close by, middle of the night. This will work. Basically just emptied out my backpack for some of the stuff I use a lot. Toiletry bag, toothpaste, toothbrush, another power bank. I use this thing all the time. I always have it charged. Bring it with me for my phone. Bright flashlight, a knife, bunch of uses for that. Advil, of course. This, I recently found out, like Vicks for mosquito repellent, stuff like that. Same with peppermint. And I prefer to use something alternative for bug spray also. I try to eat raw garlic. And I'll put like tea tree oil or something like that on. Eat raw garlic, spray some of that for like a triple defense against bugs. And then I often play this Bluetooth speaker that I got at Walmart. It's pretty cool. It actually sounds good for this little tiny speaker. But these are things that I use most of this quite often or when I'm hiking. So I don't really use this hiking, but I use this a lot. All right, I'm hungry now. I don't really have a lot of food with me. Just setting up camp right now. So I'm gonna make a smoothie using that. So freaking cool that I can do this. For the smoothie, let me just show you my food bin. I've got this, and that has like toiletries and all that. Lots of dust and everything around. I'm constantly outside, so I'm always trying to maintain it a bit. But yeah, things get dusty because I'm just always outside. But yeah, let me just show you some things randomly that I have here to maybe give you some ideas. These containers right here are amazing. These, as this lid goes on here, it basically seals. If you're looking for good alternatives for coffee, stevia with monk fruit and xylitol, look those up. It's like almost no calories and it tastes just like sugar. So let's see what we have. Plates. Coconut sugar. I've been trying to cut back on sugar and eat a little better, and I love sweet stuff. I like my coffee sweet, so. Bowls. Put a lot of stuff in here. Napkins. Walnuts for just maybe you guys will get some ideas from what I got here. These chicken broths. I have a friend to thank for this, but these are amazing. So good. Lono Life. I always have peanut butter. I often make smoothies like I'm about to. Coconut I have for sauteing. We've got a grater. Orgain, I'm about to use that. I always have a knife, honey, spices, measuring stuff, wooden spoons for cooking. We've got olive oil down there, soy sauce, lemon squeezer. If you guys have any ideas how to better organize something like this in like zero room, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, this is kind of how it falls for me. Baking soda to clean stuff, and spoons. I always have spoons and forks, and I have this like eco-friendly dish soap, so I don't feel weird if I want to wash dishes out in the woods, and it's, you know what I mean, I don't really want to dump crazy noxious chemicals around. But I think that's a good overview, good look through my food stuff. It's been freaking awesome. I mean, I pretty much have almost everything that I need, and it's just like light maintenance now when I go to the store and grab stuff. For today's smoothie, I usually like to have a banana. I don't have any right now. I'll probably finish that off, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons. I'll do like 1 scoop of the Orgain, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. Yes, I measure them. I keep track on my MyFitnessPal. Tablespoon of raw honey, and like a cup and a half of this unsweetened coconut milk. Shoot. The pitch is already dirty. The reason is because I poured it and it didn't hit record, and I wanted to record pouring that in for the video. Oh, one of those rounded scoop. I just missed it. Oh well. Oh, missed that too. All right, I already got one of these in there. We'll do this one. 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. Just gonna eyeball the honey today. Whoa. We're gonna finish that off just about. I've not come up with a good way to measure peanut butter really, unless it's really soft, but this big serving spoon thing works really good. Pretty much got all of it out of there. All right, so we're gonna flick this thing on, and there's our mix. Make sure we put the cover on this before we hit start. And we're in there. Let's see how it is. That's delicious. 2 more items that I am always using, I try to always have on me or with me, is paper towels, and always have flushable wipes. I was thinking, oh, there's a nice piece of wood, and I was walking past it, and I was like, wait a minute, look at that. What do you guys think? Pretty cool. Over here too, I don't know. I don't really have an eye for this stuff, but it does kind of look like it could have some intentionality to it. Possibly. It looks like that's like touching right there. There's like a piece over there. Definitely a freshly broken stick, so very cool. That is cool right there. Another key item is an axe. I actually have, this is the small one. I've got a big one too, but cutting the wood down to much smaller pieces is way better, I think. Because then you can they light easier, and towards the end of the night, if you just want to keep the fire going for another 20 minutes or so, you can do that with small pieces. Otherwise, if they're big chunks, once you throw one on, you've committed to like over an hour of fire. So a couple axes have been a big help, and make my wood last way longer.